have room for another warrior.
All right. Hey, everyone. Sketch here. Welcome to our latest community live stream. As you just saw, we are super stoked and excited to be here just a few days away from the start of Lone Wolf Season 2 on Halo Infinite. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what you can look forward to. But first, let me introduce my co-host. Please welcome Community Manager John Unishek. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Kind of coming back in normal. I've got my official live stream jacket on. I got what to do. So we're what do they say? Nature is healing, right?
Yeah. New hat too, though.
New hat. By the way, a quick shout out to our friends, of course, on the gear team here, Halo Gear. If you go to gear.xbox.com, there's a Tenrai collection available right now, actually. So this is one of the new pieces of gear that they bestowed upon me to represent here on the stream.
Yeah, we just wrapped up the final run of Tenrai.
We did. Yeah. And a long run it was. So, John, I know we got a lot we want to cover and get through today. We got some good stuff to work through, talk about Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Before we did that, I just want to take a quick moment here and really just acknowledge, it's been a tumultuous few months. We'll just call it what it is. Really excited about the launch, but at this point, it feels like that was a lifetime ago. So life moves sort of fast and slow at the same time. But just wanted to acknowledge that we understand it's been a stressful time for the community. It's been a stressful time for us here at the studio. And I also want to say thanks to folks who have been really just patient, supportive. We always appreciate the feedback. We've got no shortage of feedback, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. But people have been asking us. They hope we're okay. We hope the team's doing all right. We're doing okay. We're hanging in there.
Yeah.
We got work to do, and we'll talk about that here on the show today, and we got a lot to get after. But, just wanted to acknowledge we understand there's been some frustrations, and we would all like to have more things happening at a faster pace, and we are going to get there, but it's just going to take us a little bit of time.
Yeah. I always want more Halo,
Of course. Who doesn't? Good news is we're only a few days away from at least another nice dose of some really fun, cool stuff. Speaking of feedback, though, John, a few weeks back, you spent a lot of time put together what we've called Season 1 kind of outcomes blogs, right?
Yeah, 2 of them, yeah.
And quickly want to break, we're not going to go through all those in detail today, but just kind of give us the cliff notes for folks who may have missed out on that.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do the full thing. I think it came out to like 36 pages on the Word docs. But yeah, some of the stuff we covered was focused on live, focused on multiplayer and game modes, and stuff like that. But overall, right now, outcomes, lots of improvements for Season 1 or Season 2 coming up. One we actually have that we could roll a tape on.
Oh, yeah.
We actually just found out about.
Yeah, quick backstory here is we were just looking at this build, which, by the way, huge shout out to our team and the test team in particular. We've got our final candidate. Our release build is ready to go for May 3rd. But looking at this video here yesterday in the studio, one of the changes that we've heard a lot of feedback on since launch was players wanted a little more agency over the player outlines, right?
Yep. And so in our outcomes blog, we mentioned, yes, we'll have a slider in Season 2. But what we didn't mention was that the slider goes all the way down to 0. So you can turn off outlines if you want on opponents, and you can kind of get that more classic Halo look and feel if you want. Your teammates will still have their gamer tags displayed over their head, like you can see in this bot match. But anyone who does not have that is an enemy, so you want to shoot at them.
Yeah, and again, I want to note this is just an iterative step, right? It's just about usability, but it's just one example of the types of feedback that we've heard and some steps the team is starting to take now to address that feedback. If you go to halowaypoint.com, you can check out, like John said, about 35 pages of editorial. But basically, each team that works on Halo Infinite goes through all the key feedback that we've passed along to them from the players, and they provide responses and generally let you know what you can expect and what they're going to go after and what they're going to do in the future. So really good read there.
Yeah, when we get that feedback from Reddit, Twitter, Waypoint, YouTube videos, surveys that we send out to Halo insiders, right? So we're getting it from everyone. So it's a really balanced approach, and all the teams know what is the community all up talking about, and we address that directly in those blogs.
And I'll just add one more note, something that you may recall Joseph mentioned in his blog last month. We are also working on one more public-facing resource that we hope to stand up in the near future that'll essentially be a Trello board of sorts. If you were around during the MCC work, you're familiar with what I'm talking about. But we want to do a better job being a little more transparent and providing kind of a self-service resource. So ideally, at any given moment, a player could go to this page and clearly see quickly what are we working on and what the status of each of these key pieces of feedback are. So we are committed to getting that out as well. And again, I just wanted to stress that we've heard all the feedback. It's all been taken to heart, and some of these things we're already going to see coming on May 3rd. Other things are obviously going to be a little bit grander in scope and are going to take a little more time. But I do want to just say thanks again to everyone who has stuck by us and taken the time to give constructive feedback and input. And the game will be better for it. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, John, let's talk about. Oh, sorry. Before we get into season 2, just so folks are aware, we're going to talk quickly about season 2. I'm going to be joined by Joseph Staten here, our head of creative. We're going to sit down, talk a little bit more about what we're doing this year, what you can look forward to in the year ahead, reflect on the roadmap that we shared last week. Also going to talk a little bit more about the new narrative aspects to our seasonal model and what you'll find when Lone Wolves launches next week. And then you and Jerry caught up the other day, right?
Yes, yeah. So we talked on Monday, and we've got a recording of that for everyone, which you can see right there.
Yeah.
Season 2 Battle Pass with Jerry Hook. And then we're going to wrap it up, you and me again, talking a little bit about Kansas City and all the other things going on in the Halo franchise.
Yeah, it's our basically since Rally, it's our first big major, and that kicks off in just a few days. So we're excited about that. So before we welcome Joseph and John, I thought it might be helpful let's just do a quick recap. Season 2 Lone Wolves coming next week. May 3rd is the start date. I believe we're looking at 11 a.m. Pacific time global release. We'll talk about that a bit more at the end of the show. We actually, I think, have a handy rollout map so you can see exactly what time season 2 will be live in your neck of the woods, right? Give us a quick rundown, John. Couple quick highlights. Season 2.
Okay.
Put you on the spot. What's the pitch? What do we got coming?
2 new maps, 1 arena, 1 big team. Both look amazing. 3 new modes. Last Spartan Standing. We'll kick off an event actually with launch on May 3rd. We've also got Land Grab, which will come in a later event, Entrenched, which is a lot of fun. And then we also have King of the Hill. The King Returns, a fan favorite, classic one I've been looking forward to, and I've missed tremendously. So yeah, 2 maps, 3 modes, lots of events, narrative events. I'm trying to think anything else.
Have
full-on battle pass.
Yeah, I was going to say, you forgot the
thing I cover later on.
So, here's I love this shot. We had a similar image created for the launch of the game, but this is just a look at some of the new customization content and what you'll be able to do for your own personal Spartan over the course of season 2. And like John mentioned, in just a little bit, we've got, I think, basically you and Jerry are walking through 100 tiers of our new battle pass. Which, by the way, also has direct and immediate improvements based on player feedback, which y'all will be speaking to a little bit more later, right?
Yes. Yeah, we cover that as well. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get back into the Season 2 content here in a minute. But first, we're going to take a very fast break. I'm going to welcome Joseph Staten, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more about what the studio is currently working on and what you can expect later this year. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Quick shout out, I forgot to mention before we cut away. That was, of course, a closer look at one of our new maps coming on May 3rd. That is Catalyst. We're very excited. That's our arena map, as you can see, really kind of steeped in that classic Forerunner architecture. Some really fun gameplay is going to transpire on that. Also, a shout out to Josh and the Transmedia team for whipping up that really cool, sort of evocative fly through. I love the ambient sound effects as well. But now it's time to cut over. Josh, let's pull back and introduce our guest, Joseph Staten, head of creative. Welcome, Joseph. We're back.
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be back. And I have to say, I'm so glad that you're wearing the costume that you've worn consistently. I really like the Tenrai hat. I think it really sets it off. But there's some other Tenrai, I don't know, just like stuff that you might.
That's a nice flex.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
a nice flex.
It's good to always show up with some new swag.
We are officially the Fracture Bros, right? So it's
Right.
yeah, Team Fracture. Here we are. But I already said this earlier, but
Well, let me tell you how this went down, because I walked into the office this morning and they just like put the sweatshirt over my little body and pushed me into the room. So
you're a walking billboard.
that's
how
right.
it works.
No, but it is very comfy and looks great. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and you can pick it up yourself at gear.xbox.com.
That's right.
All right. So Joseph, thank you for joining me. I feel like
Yep.
what was that? Late last year we did the live stream over in the hub, right? We talked
Yep,
a little bit
that's right.
about little different circumstances. If I recall, that was the conversation about how Forge and Co-op are not going to be ready for launch. So
Yep.
at some point we'll have to come through and we have no sort of caveats whatsoever, and we'll just play that. We'll do a play date. We'll have you come on for a season 2 play date.
Sounds good.
But I thought, why don't we kick things off, because it
Mhm.
has been a bit. Also want to acknowledge that you've written 2 blogs as well since then for us. You had an April update,
Yep.
which we just put out with the roadmap. We're going to get to that in a second, and of course in the March update as well. But
Mhm.
same thing you did in March. I'm just going to start off by asking you, season 2, it's
Yep.
locked and loaded. We got our final release candidate back. We're in great shape for May 3rd. What's the team working on right now?
Well, first of all, I just want to say a big thank you to the team. Super proud of all the work that led up to season 2. It's been a real push since launch to get that ready. You're right. We have our release candidate. We're on track to launch. So just a big thank you to everybody who's been working so hard to get that out the door. I'm super excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. So in addition to shipping season 2, what we're really working on is looking beyond that. Forge, co-op, I know we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. We'll talk about quality of life. Really what we're doing is a lot of planning from now until the end of the year and beyond. And in fact, I spent all morning in a planning meeting. As soon as I pull off my Tenrai sweatshirt and exit this room, I'm going to go back into planning meetings for the rest of the day. The team is really working to lay down track, get good plans in place. And we'll talk a little bit more about the details of what that means, I know later on. But that's really what we're doing. We're launching season 2 and we're heads down working on what comes next.
Yeah, and I think something else I would. By the way, I forgot to mention. You can keep that sweatshirt. By the way, you don't. Yeah, you can take it home with you. It's a parting gift. So
It's actually like a size large. So it's like there's a medium, but if I were to stand up, it's like down to my mid thigh. So I'm like, hey everybody, walking around in my adult size sweatshirt and my child size body. It's
I
interesting.
mean, I've sized up a little bit in the pandemic, so I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but one thing that I like the way you laid out in the blog might be good for people that missed it is you had clearly articulated what our current priorities are right now as a team, and you mentioned shipping season 2, which we can basically check that box off.
Mm-hmm.
So can you remind us kind of what are our high level priorities right now?
Yeah, so shipping season 2, and then it's going after things that are keeping the player experience from being great in our game right now. This really gets to quality of life, which I think we'll get into some details about specifically. So hitting those issues that when you play the game impact your experience in a negative way. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing that work before we go after, more content. Now, we'll talk more later about we're still going after more content, but as we work inside the studio to prioritize what people are working on the right things, that's our North Star. That's our number one. Like that is what we need to be focused on right now. So, and then, at the same time, we're focusing on running a healthy studio. We're not in it to run a sprint. We're here to run a marathon. And we want to make sure that our team, who's doing such awesome work, has the time to do that in a healthy way, with a process that supports them with the resources that they need. So that is our fundamental priority that we always keep in mind, even as we're pushing to improve the state of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be helpful right now, real quick. We have the roadmap graphic, so if we want to just pop that up, give folks a chance in case they missed it to to take this in, and we'll break this down here in a little bit. We're not going to go through all these points because we're going to talk more about what's coming next week with season 2. But I think clearly the thing that we know jumped out the most to our community, which was expected, is the dates for season 2 in particular. And in this case, I think it's safe to say it probably was a surprise to most people that season 2 will last longer than they expected.
Yep.
Joseph, can you just talk a little bit about why are we making this deliberate decision to essentially extend season 2? I also want to just acknowledge last year, well before launch, we had talked about, yes, at face value, our goal and our vision was
Yep.
a season would last approximately every 3 months or so.
That's right.
Generally the norm, in the industry. We then realized that season, launching the game was going to be challenging in its own right, and
Yep.
we would need some extra time before season 2 was ready.
Yep.
Also, to your point about team health and that we don't want to,
Yep.
really hurt the team in a negative manner.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some people were not expecting that we would also need to extend season 2 itself before we get into the next season. So just
Yep.
a little bit of context from you, I
Sure.
think, would be helpful there.
Well, one thing to make really clear, none of us inside of 343 look at this roadmap and are happy with it. All of us want to be doing things faster to deliver more content. We still have this desire to get into a healthy rhythm where we can ship a season every 3 months. So for us internally, it was painful, frankly, to communicate this roadmap with a season that was going to run for another 6 months. But the reason why we're doing that is exactly what we talked about before. We have to prioritize going after quality of life issues that are impacting the game right now. Like today, when you fire up the game, that's our number one priority. We're still working on additional seasonal content, but we need to create space for the team to rigorously go after these improvements that matter right now. You and Uni just talked about the outlines, for example. It's one example of many, 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 many things that doesn't matter 3 months from now.
Yep.
It's a right now kind of thing. And so that's really how we're organizing ourselves to go after that work and why we're extending the season now. But to underline this, none of us looks at that and says, great, 6-month seasons are awesome. They're not. They're not. And we need to get ourselves in a position where we can deliver more frequently. And we're working on that too.
Absolutely. I also just want to note that we discuss this a lot. You and I have talked about this. We knew this is going to be, to your point, not the roadmap we would like to put out if
Yep.
we could
Yep.
really do what we wanted to do. But it's also important that we still maintain some open, transparent discussion, and even if they're
Yeah,
hard discussions,
that's
right?
right.
So, last thing we wanted to do was just sort of pull the rug out and surprise season 2 is now live, and it's now a shock to everyone. So,
Yeah.
fully acknowledge it's not what people want to hear, but we're still committed to being open and honest about what's going on, and we want to get to the point, obviously, you mentioned, where we can really start to do a better job meeting player expectations, and we will get there.
Yep.
Let's talk a little about the quality of life stuff that you mentioned. Maybe first of all, it'd be helpful context.
Mhm.
How do we decide where those pieces are? How do we come up with
Yeah.
that stack ranking list? Who decides, and where do these inputs come from to say,
Yep.
these are the things we must go after?
So there are a variety of inputs that we get. One is just the team playing the game. The truth is in the software. You sit down and you play, and there's the truth of the experience. So we play the game in our internal play tests. We also get insights through things like our competitive insights team, our pro players. We have user research that we use. We have telemetry that just comes out of the game that we take a look at. We do a lot of things to get data. We aggregate this data and we put it on something that internally we call the hot list. And we track it, we prioritize it, and that's how we go after one body of work versus another. So part of quality of life is the internal quality of life that we need as a studio. We need robust systems in place to gather these insights, get them together in a list, and go after them. And that's some of the work, but not all the work, of course, that we've been doing since launch.
Yep.
Is making sure that we've got a good, rigorous process to be super planful about what we attack. We've had to go slower to get that process in place. But the whole point of going slower is so you can accelerate later. Go fast, go slow to get fast. And so I really feel like on the insights part of things, we're really getting up to speed in a great way. We well understand the work ahead of us. That's why, Uni had those awesome insights blogs, those outcome blogs. So we have a really good sense of the body of work. We just need to get our heads down and go after it, which we are.
Yep. And I just want to reiterate too, we obviously have a really diverse 20+ year franchise, global fan base, and
Mhm.
it's important that we also acknowledge that different types of players and different people have different things that are more important and matter more to them, right? So,
Absolutely, yeah.
part of the studio's job is to how do we pull back from that and prioritize the most impactful changes that would ideally impact the broadest subset of players,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Which means some of the more fringe things that we know are still important
Mm.
may then have to take a lower priority, right? But
Yep,
it
that's
doesn't
right.
mean we don't care.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the whole point of a prioritized list is to put everything on there that you could do, right? And then pick the things that matter
Yep.
most. But you're right, that doesn't mean that we don't care about certain things.
Yep.
That's not true. Yeah.
Maybe let's talk about so we have these quality of life, we have all this information. Safe to say, I think we have
Yep.
plenty of feedback. No question about what we know we need to go do, right?
Yeah.
What are a couple examples off the top of your head of things that the team is actively sort of investigating and or working on right now?
Yeah. Well, it's very kind of you to say off the top of my head, but because my head and my brain are getting older
Or
these
off your
days,
notes.
I
Yes.
actually brought
Yes.
some notes to make sure that I was very
It's smart.
specific
Yep.
about these. And you told me it was like a newsroom sitch, so I
Yeah.
could just show up with my papers.
Sure.
All right.
We're loose here. It's fine.
All right, good. So, yeah, half kidding, and this is on the top of my head. But yeah, when we talk about quality of life, stuff that we're going after that matters right now in the game, we think about things like anti-cheat, and that is not a thing that we're going to solve tomorrow or in 2 months or 3 months. This is an ongoing effort, quality of life that's going to continue. But we know there's some things that we need to dig into now, today, specifically on anti-cheat. The ranked experience is something that we also have recognized as something that matters right now. And this includes like fundamental behind the scenes stuff that we need to do for ranked so that we can go after some of the ranked playlist issues that players feel right now in the game. So that's work that we're diving
Yep.
into. Network improvements around desync, as well as just the way the players report bugs. We just want to make sure that we've got a good handle on that. And then, of course, we're also going after big ticket, longer time frame items, things like match XP, Spartan career.
Yep.
Now, we can't today say definitively, well, this is where these things are going to land, but it's important to just acknowledge, look, we know these things, we're going after them. They might not show up on the roadmap right now, but that's because we want the roadmap to be a credible, reliable source of truth. And so there's work going on behind the scenes on these quality of life as well as many, many other things that we could talk
Yep.
about, including some of those internal studio, just are the way we work, the way we organize ourselves. That's our internal quality of life that we're focused on too.
Yeah, and in our next segment, I believe Jerry and Unishek will talk a little bit more about specifically on the live side of the game, some things that they're focused on. For example, how do we diminish the core restrictions we have in place? Like we've heard loud and
Right.
clear, our players would like to be able to mix and match more content across more Spartan cores and have more
Yep.
customization agency, right? So that's another example.
Mhm.
Heck, I would even note, even the Season 2 Battle Pass today is a reflection of player feedback and changes that were made.
Yep.
Things like adding in credits, increasing the value. The free track has a lot more content, and Jerry and John will talk a little bit more about that when we're done here.
Yep.
So you also mentioned in your blog the way that we would deliver these quality of life updates would be via drop pods. What does that mean?
Drop pods. Well, so we wanted to pick a name that had resonance in the Halo universe. And if you think about an ODST drop pod, right, they're racked up in the belly of some UNSC ship. They're always ready to go. They're racked and they're waiting to drop. And that's how we approach the delivery. We want to approach the delivery of this content. We don't want to just wait and hold things back for season releases. If something's ready, we want to be able to put it in a pod and drop it. We want drop pods leaving the frigate or whatever it is, 343 on a regular basis. Our goal is to get into a monthly cadence of a drop pod a month. We're not there yet, but that's the goal. That's part of why we're taking time in season 2 to go after this work. But just think about a drop pod as a delivery vehicle, content, features, bug fixes, lots of different things could go into a drop pod. We want to be able to do them every month. If something's ready, it goes that month. We don't want to hold and wait until season boundaries. So again, this is the kind of stuff that doesn't show up in granular detail on the roadmap. But when you see the drop pod icon, when we say drop pods, just know that it's our way, ideally on a monthly basis, and we'll get up to speed to deliver content when it's ready. Content, features, bug fixes. It's just a vehicle to deliver that stuff to you.
Yeah, and I also safe to say, as we hit these different kind of checkpoints along the way, I mean, the drop pod is staged We're loading it.
That's right.
Once we know what's approved and cleared to drop, we will then be able to update our community and say, great news, here's what you can
Exactly.
expect for this month's drop pod. But it is a bit of it's in flux, right? There's things that are constantly shifting around. So it is, to your earlier point, we want to be credible and accurate. So it's not possible today to say, here's what's in drop pod 1, here's what's in drop pod 2. But that will be evolving, and we will remain committed to make sure we communicate that to our players.
Just to give a little bit more context here, because I think if I were a community person hearing what you just said, I might go, well, wait, it's like you don't know what's going to go in the first drop pod. The reality is, talking about planning meetings that I just came out of, that's been the work of the team for some time now. Is figuring out, let's look at drop pod number 1. Let's look at what we would want to put in there, referencing the hot list and the priority of improving the player experience now. Let's look at our capacity planning, how we want to attack this. That's all work that's been going on. And so internally, we actually have good plans together. It's that, are we ready to communicate it externally yet in detail? And we're not there yet, because we don't want to put out a plan that isn't rock solid. And so that's the tension. I know you and I talk about this, and internal to the studio, trust me, there's a tremendously strong desire for us to be able to say even more, but we just want to find that balance between not overcommitting and then having to retract.
That's not a good feeling.
Yeah, it's not. So that's where we are right now. I don't want people to think like, oh, that work is
that's a good point.
Underway.
Yeah, thanks. And even then, even if we already have a good sense of what's in the drop pod, until that build is cut and has gone through a full test pass and become a validated release candidate, it could change, right? So there is you know how games are made, obviously. Most people probably have a sense, but not always an exact science. There's always things that you have to kind of adjust for. I did want to also just add one more thing, Joseph. When we talk about these drop pods, I think it's safe to say, and we should just be upfront about this, this is not a world where we're just going to have a flurry of 3 or 4 drop pods and then, cool, we've addressed all the feedback. We're back in business again. I mean, to be clear, this is an ongoing commitment.
Yeah, and that's part of running a live game, right? The drop pods that we release in season 2 will be more focused on getting out those quality of life fixes, but that continues. I mean, we are going to be delivering drop pods for the duration of what we're doing. Like, it's just these are, like I said, monthly things. We want to be doing regular updates. It's part of the way that we're gonna roll moving forward. So yes, I think you'll see a drop pod icon on the roadmap for season 3, right? It is a continuous thing that we'll be doing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And the last point, maybe before we switch gears here, you and I had also been chatting. While it's true that we are going after priority right now for quality of life improvements, you also noted this already. We just fully acknowledge we also have some content challenges.
That's right.
So safe to say, in parallel, we are also still working on ways to bring more content to bear faster.
100%. I mean, like I said at the beginning, we look at this roadmap, we look at what we're able to deliver right now, and we know very clearly inside the studio, we need to do more. It's painful for us, it's painful to all of you that we can't deliver more content right now. But we are, when I think about my afternoon meetings, actively looking at ways to accelerate delivery of content as well as quality of life.
Excellent. And again, we will provide ongoing updates as long as we need to, and keep the community abreast of these developments as we get real details. Now, speaking of content, let's just change gears here entirely. We do have new content coming out in just a few days when Lone Wolves kicks off on May 3rd. So, with your narrative background and, sorry, I'm actually getting ahead of myself. First thing I want to talk about really quick, because it's been a little bit. You mentioned this earlier, campaign co-op and mission replay. Those are features that we are actively working on. We have kind of put a stake in the ground on the roadmap. We are targeting late August to deliver those to the game. From your perspective, how are those features currently tracking? What's going on over there in the campaign world?
Yeah, well, the smile you see on my face is because I had the opportunity to sit down and play campaign network co-op with the folks leading that effort on our team. This was maybe a couple weeks ago. I need to play more recent build, but everyone knows that Halo is more fun when you play with your friends. Like, just that, it's always been true, and campaign co-op is no exception. And it was just this magical moment where I'd been playing it along the way, but just to see a build that's progressed so far since last year, a build that's getting really close to being done and released, it was just this magical flow of being in this big new Zeta Halo environment with 3 other Spartans running around as a foursome, just playing 4-player network co-op. exploring this wide open world. It brought all those feelings that I so much enjoy about campaign co-op, just rushing back again. So super excited. Awesome progress has been made by the team on the campaign co-op front as well as mission replay, and being able to just go back in and play things with less friction. It's just super fun. So very excited about the progress that the team has been making on that. Big thanks to everybody who's been working so hard on it. It's going to be really fun, and it's so nice to see it getting close to the finish line too. Yeah.
And as far as I know, currently we still have a goal of being able to flight that via the Halo Insider flighting program at some point prior to release. So in many ways, it's even closer than it would appear on the roadmap. So as soon as we have more flight details, we'll be looking forward to sharing those. And of course, if you're not already opted in, you can go to haloinsider.com right now and create a free profile. And if you want to maybe be a part of a flight for co-op or something else, that's the first step to take. Next up, we have Forge. We haven't talked about that quite a bit since pre-launch. We also put that on the roadmap. We've indicated that we're targeting September. One big change, though, is that we are calling that an open beta now, which was a little bit different. So might be helpful just from your perspective. What does that mean to you, open beta? I have seen some people speculating and some concerns that you know, it's like 1/10 of Forge, and it's just going to be this small little experience. But what do we want players to know about that?
So when we say beta, it is the full feature set for launch for Forge. Like, this is not a stripped down version. This is not, you know, some features turned off, some features not. We've been flighting Forge for quite some time. And so what people will experience in this open beta is the Forge toolset. You know, some things are going to come later, like additional palettes and those kinds of things. But Forge is going to be its own, you know, service as well. Like, we're going to add things over time to Forge too. But you're right; people should not look at the beta label and think, "Oh, is this some sort of, you know, handcuff version of Forge?" No, not at all. Like, when people get it, they'll be playing it with a full, robust feature set for V1.
Yeah, and I think, you know, originally we had talked about we were going to flight Forge at a larger scale before release, but given that you noted that we have been flighting it to a private audience for, I think, honestly, maybe 2 years or more at this stage.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
I think it's the right decision. Essentially, by moving into an open beta, we can get that core tool set right into the game as soon as possible, and it lets everyone in the community with no barriers or restrictions start making real content and real experiences that will then persist. So it's one of our ways that we can also help address the feedback that people want more content, more experiences. We get to recruit the community to help us in some regards.
That's right. And I mean, all that fun innovation and new ideas that's always come from Forge, like, we want to get that flywheel going as quickly as possible. And the open beta allows us to do that too. So you're absolutely right. When people jump in with an open beta, they'll be able to make stuff, and it'll persist as well. So people shouldn't think like, oh, is the work I'm going to do go away? No, not at all.
And we'll, of course, have a lot more to say and show and share about Forge in the coming months. So stay tuned for that. I'll just say there's been some stuff maybe leaked out there, and there's a lot to be excited about. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Forge is going to be pretty awesome for this new generation. All right. Last thing I want to chat with you about, Joseph, we'll just change gears here again. Lone Wolves is, of course, the name of our season here. We had Heroes of Reach for season 1. You have a lot of backstory and a background of yourself as being a narrative kind of guy. So I thought it'd just be interesting, you know, from your perspective, what do we mean when we talk about sort of a seasonal narrative and storytelling during the season, and even Lone Wolves? Like, just kind of break that down for us a little bit.
Yep. So, Josh, if you wouldn't mind putting up the Lone Wolves piece of concept art that we've got. So I think people are getting sick of looking at my face at this point. So we released this concept art a little while back. What does it represent? Well, when we say Lone Wolves, what we're really saying is our seasonal theme. And themes are compelling ideas that inform how we approach a lot of different content creation. Characters like this, Spartan Eklund on the left, Spartan Din on the right. A theme for Lone Wolves, what does that idea really mean? Well, who are Lone Wolves? Lone Wolves are scavengers. They're Spartans who are operating deep behind enemy lines, far away from lines of supply. They need to be improvisers. You can see on their armor that if something breaks down, they find something on the battlefield, they use it for their own purposes. So these Lone Wolves are scrappy scavengers. And when it comes to, well, what does that mean for the story? Themes, really, they inspire interesting what-if questions. So what if we had 2 Spartans operating out in the field, deep behind enemy lines, and they found something very, very dangerous. And what if they brought that really dangerous thing back to the academy, brought it back to this place of safety? Like, what is you as a player? How would you deal with that problem? And Brian, I don't want to spoil anything here. We can probably take away that image, because the more I look at it, the more I want to say. But that's the idea. You got scavengers. They're out in the wild. They find something interesting and dangerous. What happens when they bring it back? And maybe we can show a little tease of that in a cinematic here. This isn't the whole season 2 intro cinematic, because that would be terrible. We'd spoil everything. But it's a little snippet of the opening cinematic for season 2 Lone Wolves that we should take a look.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Medic, on me.
Grab that kid. Medic back.
They aren't hostiles. They're wolves. Back from the hunt.
This Neuralink is corrupted, ma'am. I'll have to pull the chip. And
No! Do that, he dies. And we lose everything he risked his life for.
What does it mean?
You'll find out May 3rd. So something that went by pretty quickly in this snippet of the intro cinematic is when we plan our seasonal stories, we want to make sure that the player, all of you, are at the heart of this story, driving events. If we kick off a crisis like this, we want the players to be the solution to that crisis. So this cinematic would immediately roll into the first event of the season. No spoilers, where you as a player begin to work through this problem, and by playing, progress the story. And that, in short, is seasonal narrative. But if we want to bring up the image of the Spartans, so you can see in this image, you have Spartan Din in the middle there on his knees. You have Spartan Eklund on the right. Brian, who's that Spartan on the left? That's the player. That's you. That's you in the game. And so, however you show up with your customization, that'll be you. If you're rocking
My full neon Spartan and all my katanas or my samurai, it's all going to be there, right?
100%.
My mohawk.
Yep.
Okay.
One of the things from the very early days of Halo that I am still super passionate about is this idea in Halo 1 that it was BYOG, bring your own gun to the cinematics. Whatever gun you had in your hand in a Halo 1 cinematic would show up. That's true for Infinite. Well, in this case, I guess it's bring your own armor, bring your own customization. So in these real-time cinematics, in the in-engine cinematics, yeah, if you want to rock, I don't know, Brian, whatever crazy stuff with your mohawk.
Oh, we'll do it.
Yeah, it'll be there. And so just another small way, but an important way that we're really emphasizing, hey, this is you. This is you at the heart of our story. Right there, boots on the ground, center of the event, center of the crisis. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I know we can't go into it today, but I want to acknowledge y'all are kind of crazy, because I know I've already seen it, and I've heard you working. This doesn't just start and stop with Lone Wolves. You've got nuggets and threads right now that will actually span multiple seasons. And this narrative will continue to grow with the player being really at the center of it throughout.
That's right. We still have a lot of work to do to figure out just planning and how we get that going. But this is, this is a serial story. It started with Heroes of Reach, introduced Commander Agrinia, who's also in season 2, introduces our 2 Lone Wolves, maybe some other things as well. And that story will continue from season to season and into experiences that we have planned beyond. So, if you want to get in on the ground floor, see what the evolving story of Halo Infinite is, May 3rd is your time.
Awesome. Joseph, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you've got a lot of planning meetings to get back to that are happening right now, as you mentioned earlier, but really appreciate your stopping by today. Thanks for repping the Tenrai Fracture Bros as well. Any final parting words before we let you go?
I say this a lot in the blog posts that I put out and in online. And when I say that I'm genuinely thankful for everyone out there in our community who's passionate, even when you're noisy sometimes, and light up my Twitter. Um, we can't do our job without the feedback. For those of you who are being like especially supportive and patient, even more gratitude. So thank you. Please keep the feedback coming. Like I said, we're heads down. We're going after this work, and we got a lot of good stuff planned. So thank you.
Awesome. Now, next up, we as we mentioned at the outset of the show, Unisec caught up with Jerry Hook earlier this week. They're going to walk you through the entire Season 2 Battle Pass and show you what you can look forward to for all the new customization content. But first, here's a quick look again at our new Big Team Battle map coming next week called Breaker. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Unisec here, and today I am joined by Jerry Hook. We decided to match outfits so we could talk about Season 2 and some of the learnings from Season 1. Jerry, how are you doing?
Doing great. It's good to be back in black. It's fantastic.
It feels good. I'm glad we were on the same wavelength coming in today. But let's talk about Season 1, some of the learnings we've had, and then we can dive into Season 2, take a look at the Season 2 Battle Pass. One of the first things and most common things we got feedback around were challenges throughout Season 1 and kind of the ultimate weekly rewards there. What were some of the learnings we've had right off the bat from challenges?
Yeah, so one of the things we knew coming into actually right before ship is we knew we'd struggle in this area just from what we had. And what I hope the community saw is us trying to respond really quickly to any problematic challenges that were what I'd consider esoteric or impossible to land without way too much work. It really failed to meet our expectations of a system where we just wanted you to play the game. Uh, and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to help make sure that one, we're being really responsive, hopefully in a fast enough rate. But also as we look forward to future, how do we want to make challenges? How do we start pairing those challenges stronger to the playlist you're playing instead of locking you down right from the beginning? That won't affect you here in season 2, but we've culled a lot of the challenges that were problematic for everyone, and
Like the Killjoy challenge.
Killjoy, or not as many Ravager challenges, those sorts of things. And really try to focus on just the heart of just playing in specific modes and being successful there.
And for once you've kind of finished those challenges, we've got ultimate rewards every week that pop up that players can earn. We got a lot of feedback around season 1's. We had some repeating emblems, but season 2, we're turning the corner.
Yeah. So one of the things we've met, as we've balanced a lot of what we've been trying to do with the game moving forward, is just go to the heart of, is the design principles that we went against, are they hitting our goals, and can we put pressure on our content to be able to get the right content for players that they actually value? And so we've moved away from a lot of the consumable pieces. We've moved away from a lot of the emblems and other things that they're valuable, but when you're talking about a weekly challenge, they don't really hit the high value that players are looking for, where players are looking for new coatings or new geo, those sorts of things, new visors, those pieces. And that's what we want to try to do moving forward. And again, you saw us make some of these quality life improvements towards the tail end of season 1, and we're just going to continue that moving into season 2. And so your capstones will hopefully be something that you want to chase and you feel good going after from a week by week basis.
Yeah, I think in our outcomes blog we said coatings, visors, and stances, right?
Yeah.
As well as a little geo.
Yeah, you mentioned geo. Yeah.
Nice. And then up next, the shop. There was a lot of conversations around the shop when we launched, and we did make some strides to improve that, and we'll have even more in season 2.
Yeah, the biggest thing for the shop obviously is, so pretty early on, within a couple weeks after launching, we really sat down with our business teams and we said, hey, look, we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to go back to the drawing board on our pricing and our fundamental store structure. And again, that's just we didn't meet expectations. We knew we'd have some challenges going into launch, but didn't have time to fix them all. And so we just went back pretty much to the drawing board and said, okay, look, let's take a fundamental look. Let's take a look at the product lines that we're trying to help make sure that players feel are valuable. And let's start breaking it up. We lowered prices pretty much across the board in most cases. And then we're also starting to look at, like, let's do some individual sales. We will be looking at the future of continuing to make improvements so that if you open up a bundle and you just want one item, we are looking at that to help solve for that challenge. And then the other things we want to help make sure is that again, from a value perspective, the probably one of the biggest learnings that we got across the board is that our avid players who have been with us for the last 20 years, they really wanted to see something new. And so when we look at, where your feedback is on value, where your feedbacks are on, where that value sits for you, it's not in the old geo, or it's not in the old looks. It's actually in things that really spark you as being new to play with, which makes complete sense. And we're trying to put our focus there instead of, and you'll see that in a lot of the battle pass, instead of rehashing, say, Spartan 5 stuff and whatnot. It's not to say that we're not focused on that at all, because I know there's fan favorites, but we want to balance from a purchasing perspective. We want that more to be on the earn side than on the purchase side.
Gotcha. And then Last but not least, before we dive into the Battle Pass, I know we had a lot of feedback around cores, right?
Yeah.
Customization, cores and kits, right? Kind of being
Yep.
locked down. But we're going to start changing that starting within season 2.
Yep.
Want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been a very hot topic since we launched. And, the initial goal, and you can see this in how we package together the Battle Pass for season 1, is it's really based around Noble 6 and those characters. And when you break down those characters, we really wanted to help make sure that those looks and those that fantasy was preserved. And we really lost incorrectly the strength that Reach and Halo 3 brought to the franchise of allowing players to really mix and match everything. And we knew we'd have some struggles there. We didn't realize it would be as bad as it was. So if you didn't catch our blog last time, we are looking to move away completely from the core system. And what that means for season 2 is you'll start seeing specifically what I would call in-canon cores. So, your Spartan 5 to 7 to, whatever we're doing for Infinite on a canon perspective. We're trying to make that ubiquitous. So if you earn a coating, it's usable across all of those cores, or if you earn a shoulder piece, it's usable across all those cores. And our focus for season 2, not from day 1, but as we move through season 2, is that your visors, your helmets, your coatings, those will be the first things that we go after, and then we'll slowly trying to move everything to be more ubiquitous. It gets a little harder when you take a look at, say, the Yori armor or some of the fracture cores, because they do have just fundamentally different structures that not everything fits in. So right now we're really taking a look at the canon cores and leaving the fracture cores to their own right now. But again, send us your feedback, let us hear that, and that'll help us, basically where we're going to put the team to go and focus and go and correct.
Yeah, the feedback definitely helps us prioritize what's most important to the players.
Yeah, and kits are the kind of fit in that same challenge where the original design philosophy was a kit was more like a uniform. We wanted players to just quickly, basically, put that uniform on, whether it be esports or whether it be a character, and just say, hey, look, that kit goes there. And we want to make, from a design philosophy perspective, we want our content to be able to be used across all of our basically our players' characters, to be able to go and make their Spartans look the way they want, including kits. Those won't be on day 1, but it is something that we're hoping to address in a drop pod coming in season 2.
And now for the grand finale, we can talk about the Battle Pass here for season 2. We can talk about a little of the learnings from season 1 as we go through it, though. One of the coolest things you'll see in the game right off the bat, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing, as everybody knows, our battle passes don't expire, which means you have to have a way to equip the passes that you want to go and earn your content in. And so this will be the first time that you see this from season 1. Here this has been completed, so you can't equip something that you've already completed because there's nothing to earn left. But had you had other things to earn there, you would have been able to equip it, very similar to how you're equipping any piece of armor. And so you equip it, and that's where your XP will end up going. So whether you're earning XP per match or whether you're earning it through challenge systems, it'll go into the battle pass that you have equipped.
Yeah. Players from MCC should be pretty familiar with that, selecting the battle pass that they kind of want to make progress on.
Yeah, completely.
So here we've got the season 2 battle pass. First look at it. What are some of the things that initially jump out to you here?
Yeah, so one of the things I just take a look at these first 6 levels is it really shows some of our structural differences that we're trying to make for the battle pass all up. You only see 1 consumable. You see credits starting to be earned. And when we took a look at, again, talking with our business team to say, hey, look, some of the original reasons for us not to have credits in the battle pass system were because if you had a battle pass that wasn't going to expire, we wanted to make sure that we weren't losing too much. And so we challenged those systems, and we're saying, hey, look, we think there is more value for the players, both from an engagement perspective, as well as every player knowing that if they've purchased a pass, they can earn that pass back. We think is a pretty powerful thing. We know it's industry standard, but we broke the industry standard with not expiring the battle pass. But that really helps us, I think, get back to what will provide that value back to players. But also, the other big thing you see here is your first free armor core within that first 6 levels. This is pretty critical for us because one of the things we felt looking at season 1, in season 1 you didn't earn a core if you were a free player. And for us, when we take a look at valuing the player's time and where we've kind of failed in a couple of ways, this is one of the pretty critical pieces. And we wanted to make sure that as we honor everyone's time, part of that is as you play, you're actually earning meaningful content, even if you're a free player. And earning, a full suit is the first step of that. This also actually permeates the rest of the battle pass. If you're a free player, you're pretty much, I think we're about 60%. Don't quote me on that. If you're gonna, land blast me with tweets or whatnot, you're 59% or whatever. I'm just saying around there. Our main goal was to try to help lift both the free side of the pass as well as the pass in general on higher valued content.
Yeah, so see, the free track should have around 60% more just goodness earned, right? More durable cosmetic unlocks and stuff like that. And we already touched on it, but the pay track also has this.
Yep, absolutely.
A total of 1,000 credits over the course of the battle pass. And
then the great thing you'll start seeing here is as Uni starts scrolling through this content is you're going to start seeing content here that matches our narrative theme. And as Joseph talked about, Eklund and Din, they're the main characters for this pass. And they're lone wolves. They're wolves. They're Spartans who've been out on the hunt. They've been separated from the UNSC over a long period of time. So they've kind of had to scrap and pull together their armor. And you see that theme pretty much throughout the battle pass. And it's one of the critical things we're trying to do overall for creatively as we move forward, that being tied to the story, the ongoing story, as well as the look and the feel is felt throughout the experience. And like I said, you'll start seeing more coatings, again, more unique gear, which hopefully for every player who's looking at playing Halo and joining us for a new season, there's a lot of content there for them to go after that they haven't seen before, even if they've been a part of the franchise for 20 years.
Yeah, so lots of good stuff, especially for that Lone Wolves Rakshasa armor core. Right?
Exactly.
And this is a free helmet that you can get right off the bat, just right at tier 11.
Yeah, and you'll see there are still swaps and XP boosts in there. They are still valuable for players, but you were seeing them less than you were in the past. And even events completely have removed our consumables across the board, and our events are focused as a primary means in which you are earning through your time and your investment in the franchise a way to earn new content that we haven't seen before.
And as part of the battle pass, you also see some Mark 7 content, right? So players who've been joining us since launch who had that Mark 7 armor for free are going to get new pieces of armor here in the battle pass as well. Also, some on the free track.
And this is something that everybody has access to the Mark 7 core because it comes with the free-to-play multiplayer. It's something that we want to continue to build on, again, just to help make sure that story of the Spartans continues to grow, of what the UNSC Mark 7 look like.
Yeah. Nice AI color. High Charity, because it's got that Covenant purple. I like it. Oh, that's a good one. Get some of that camo,
Yep.
One of my favorite weapon charms now, the Combat Evolved one. Toss the plasma grenade, launch the weapon to you, pick it up, go on a tear. This and there's the Extermination weapon charm that'll be available with Twitch drops this weekend at Kansas City. So I'm looking forward to having both of those to rock too.
Yeah, and this chest piece pretty early on is just a critical way in which you can see that thrown together. Hey, look, we had to strap things together with wires and straps to help get this piece of gear be protective and help that Spartan still do his duty and be successful for the UNSC.
Mhm. And now we're starting to piece together one of
Eklund.
our lone wolves. Yeah, Eklund here.
So you start seeing her frame, and yeah, you start seeing wasps. I don't actually remember if we had any wasp coatings in the season 1 battle pass.
I can't remember for Battle Pass specifically, but there were a few ways to earn and also buy some coatings for the wasp. Like I know I've got one that I rock that I got in campaign. But yeah.
And you see, you go next for the coating. You get a nice free coating here. You know, and the great thing we're trying to do here, again, you're seeing some different color variations and just some more customization for the player look and feel. Would you go to
jump on ahead to Eklund's
piece?
A nice little stance we can use to show off.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everybody, like, I know we're using a Spartan here. This Spartan that you're seeing here, when we look at poses and whatnot, this is all things that are acquired in the Battle Pass. So there's nothing from the store here. So everything you see on that Spartan is from the Battle Pass being put together.
It's a nice dealio right there.
Yep.
Let's see. Boom. There's Eklund.
Yeah. And so this is her kit. This is what she looks like in the cinematics. And you're seeing a lot of the obviously the way we put kits together. And one of the great things, again, from a character perspective, this just allows you, if you want to look like Eklund, this is what she looks like, and this is how her Spartan comes together as a character.
Real nice. Some more Mark 7 gear, right? Lots of good stuff. Oh my gosh. I'll dare you to pronounce this one.
No.
Some additional shoulder pieces for Mark 7 as well. Rampart kind of looks like the EOD, you know, of old. A classic. Keep jumping forward here. Some new gloves and some chest attachments here. Like we were saying, just lots of good Mark 7 stuff.
Really good.
This one on the free track, a lot of players will recognize from our key art on season 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can now get it for free just in that free track or in that chest attachment. Nice little helmet attachment there. Bright red on Butler. I can dig it, yeah. But lots of good stuff, right? And one thing about the battle pass that we have talked about or haven't talked about yet is overall progression system stuff. I know we wanted to kind of talk about that kind of with the challenges, but I skipped over it a bit. We do want to make a long-term progression system, but that's not in scope here for season 2, right?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is, you know, we're trying to get the foundation ready for it with, you know, earned XP per match. But really that Spartan rank or the Spartan career that we're all looking for, that's something we're putting long-term investment in. You know, part of our drop pod system is to try to bring things online faster in pieces if possible. And this is definitely a top ask for us to with the team to get the Spartan progression system all up so that people feel like they have a career outside of the seasonal battle pass.
And we've also got some nice chest attachments right here coming up. Another pretty darn sweet looking Mark 7 one.
Yeah.
The Pack Rat.
I always love the grenade canisters.
Yeah. Anytime you got those, kind of reminds me of Emil.
Yeah, exactly.
And then up next we've got, let's see, what we got here. Nice little visor.
Security flag. Access attempt logged.
Are you seeing this?
Success.
This can't be right.
No way.
Firewall compromised.
This doesn't make sense.
Breach detected.
Do we know what's vulnerable
Oh,
yet?
God.
Core files targeted.
You've got an intact matrix core.
Signature is June.
Answer me.
Where did the core
Data
go?
transfer in
I
progress.
think we're about to find out. They're here.
Transfer complete.
Lux 11. Artificial minds, real salute.
Here, this one is one of my favorites, right?
Yeah.
With that black and red.
And this is why, I mean, I really just like where you have unique color sets that are high contrast. These are the ones that I've always just enjoyed. like the single armor reds and the things that are really non-balanced is really cool for me.
Yeah, I'm really digging that look there. Continued Mark 7, right? Lots of good stuff for there. Got some Rakshasa knee pads.
Yeah, and this is the, again, you're seeing tape, electrical tape here, and just pulling the pieces together, and it's just, again, a really unique look compared to what it seems like it's fresh off the factory floor.
And one thing I've kind of noticed here as we've been going through the battle passes, once you get to the second half, like things start getting real
crazy.
nice. Yeah. And you see that with this the cool shot shoulder piece right here. Got it on both sides, and you got a nice sweet looking armor coating here. But yeah, like you get this and you really start to see the tubes, the patchwork, right? Oh snap, I'm on the battlefield. Let me get something together and scrounge it. Oh.
Yeah, this looks like a whole filtration system to replace the armor. Let's go to the
GRD.
Yeah, GRD and the...
So this is a fan favorite from Reach that was cut from Reach, then brought into Reach via MCC not too long ago, and now it's making its appearance here in Infinite, which is awesome to have, right? The GRD never dies, right? Some brass knuckle type things.
That's right. That's fantastic. There's very few gloves that I get really excited about, but those gloves are amazing. I love the health pack. This is so good.
Some OG fans will really appreciate this. You got the med kit on both the gun attachment as well as a utility kind of hip attachment.
So good.
Big fan of that. GRD attachment. Some more coatings, right? This one's nice, like purple with a slight like touch of gold to it.
Yeah.
Really liking that. This one. Yeah, the Packmaster's Glare.
Yeah. So we learned a lot from the Cyber Showdown of what we could do with effects, and I think again the art team. This is a huge, I think, a really good attachment for players.
Yeah, and one thing that I've really come to appreciate is we've also been learning our own tools on how to make things even better and cooler. Right? It's a newer engine, right? So we're getting familiar with it too, making even newer, cooler stuff. And kind of pushing its limits even more with future customization content, which has been really sweet to think about, right? Like when we launch Forge and people get their hands on, they make kind of more simple things, right? Same kind of basic concept applies to us with our own tools, getting better and better, making cooler and cooler things. Nice little helmet attachment here.
Yeah, I just love again, throwing together tape and
little walkie-talkie. Yeah.
Let's get more into Din stuff.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Nice blades on the hip there.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, we're starting to get in the Din's stuff. You're right. On the free track. Yep, you got a nice.
He's clearly a hunter.
Yeah. Visor there. Shoulder pads. Attachment for Din. Yep. Yeah, this second half is getting there. Oh, some of my favorite shoulder pieces.
Really spicy. Yeah.
This one is kind of a elite shoulder piece that you have taken as your own. I'm a big fan of that.
Yep.
Just be like, I need that more than you do now. So I'm gonna take it and use it.
This is where you can really start saying, just mixing and matching with the universe and the armor pieces of the universe all up, not just Spartan.
Another stance with that Spartan that we stood up there. Nice little darker black clean coating, and then here's a full look at Din.
Yeah, this is what you'll see in the cinematic and him full characters Joseph was talking about earlier. Just really unique, really strong character look profile.
Yep, digging in. Yep.
I think I don't know if we had a full If you go to the next one. Yeah.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah, we had
Mythic effects set. Yeah.
fix that.
I think you can see bits and pieces of this in our Modes trailer, actually, that just came out. A couple of Spartans are rocking this. You can see a little bit of the green trail around them.
Yeah.
But some really cool effects.
And then,
it's a
of
partner
course,
outfit.
the one everyone's going to want, these Elite Skull shoulder pieces are just phenomenal.
Yeah, they are looking good.
Just pulled together like it looks like, Din put this on himself and helped made it fit his whole armor set. It's very good.
Nice little wrist attachment there too.
Yep.
Deacon Crest shield node. But yeah, the Skullbearer trophy, clean, and overall Battle Pass, lots of good stuff.
Lots of good stuff. Yeah,
with the learnings.
Just
from
remind
season
everybody,
one.
every event we have, you'll be earning content as well. The seasonal kickoff with the first event.
Right on May 3rd. Yeah.
Inception. What's the
interference?
Interference.
Yes.
The other I word. So interference, and the great thing about that is, it's another first right off the bat, 10 items for you to go and earn, and you won't have any consumables there. It's all gear. It's all customization stuff for the player, and then you'll have the new Fracture coming out within that first month, and can't wait for everyone to see. Dress up as their version of the almost World War II looking Spartan. It's very amazing. I love it.
Yeah, the Eagle Strike there.
Eagle Strike.
Yeah, but we've said Interference launching on May 3rd, right there, day and date. It's going to have the last Spartan standing game mode on Breaker, which is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And then after the event ends, we're going to have that live in our larger playlist offering with last Spartan standing on all the big team maps.
Yeah,
right. So we won't just limit it to Breaker.
Yeah, that's the other big thing that we're trying to be consistent on is now every time we launch an event, you'll see it move into the general playlist, so you can continue to play it as a game mode.
But I think that's kind of the big stuff for us here today.
Yeah.
I know we've got a little more for me and Brian to jump to. But Jerry, any last closing words?
No, I just want to say, hey, thanks for coming with us on the journey. And hopefully you're seeing us make pretty steady progress to improve and better meet the expectations of the community. One of the main things I have always said is community really is the end game for any strong entertainment property, and for Halo, that is for sure the case. And I know that it's always hard to not get everything you want on day one, but we hope we're earning our way to continually make improvements that you're looking for to be successful for all of us in this hobby that we all love called Halo.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you on.
We're back. Hey, wait, what? No.
How did that happen?
Want to give a big thanks again to Jerry Hook for stopping by earlier this week, and that was an exhaustive run-through of the Season 2 Battle Pass.
Yeah, me and Jerry, in case you didn't know, that was a recording from earlier this week. Jerry and I went over all 100 tiers of that Battle Pass and had a lot of fun doing it.
One thing we did want to just quickly clarify, we got some additional details after we recorded that segment, and we just wanted to make sure there was no confusion in that regard. We talked about, we've always said once you buy the Battle Pass in Halo Infinite, it never expires. That is true. But we want to be really clear that the free pass, so if you've never purchased a Season 1 Battle Pass and you've just been unlocking the free tracks, that will not persist. And this may be a surprise to some folks. So we wanted to be upfront and make sure that we were clear about that. So starting next week with the launch of Lone Wolves, if you own the premium pass, it will persist. You can still switch back and forth exactly like you just saw in that segment with Jerry and Unishek. But the free pass will not persist unless you at some point decide you'd like to go back and purchase it, at which point, boom, it's back, and it would also still carry your progress forward. So that is a bit of just a nuance we wanted to be very upfront and clear about. So just wanted to make that correction.
Yeah.
And then, John, I think you got two more quick addendums you'd like to add on to that segment, right? You got here real quick in front of us in the build right now?
Yeah, we are doing this very much live. We saw people in chat talking about George and his armor kit. And some of you might enjoy seeing this. That's a very nice shoulder piece in great detail in season 2. So I wanted to make sure we at least got to show that.
So,
and
the shoulder gate is no more.
Yeah, this one kind of trended on the Halo subreddit pretty frequently anytime it got posted. So I'm happy we could kind of show that off. And also the Cyber Showdown, both the visor and Mohawk should be nice and leveled. We brought out the protractors and made sure they're nice and even.
They're nice and centered now, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
And then on the other Xbox we've got here, or PC, we have some other things. You'll see when season 2 rolls around, we'll have a rank reset for ranked, and there will be new ranked rewards, ranked emblems that you can get that are kind of focused on that rank that you obtain, and it's going to have like a Lone Wolf's twist to it, right? So you see a bronze one with the wolf inside of it, and we also have some classic emblems making a return. Like this one, I know a lot of fans from back in Halo 2 love the card suits. Yeah. We've got the clubs, diamonds, and even a fleur-de-lis you can see on the right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, that officially wraps up the customization segment, if you will.
Yes.
Now we want to switch gears. We got one more thing we want to talk about briefly before we turn y'all loose today, and that is our big HCS Kansas City major coming up in just a couple days. Let's get ourselves in the spirit and let's roll our quick HCS teaser trailer. Josh, take it away.
Arvin kill there for Plasma, going to Wolf, gets the kill tack as
Drift
well.
Picks up two wonderful shots, and he makes it a third.
Finish off the kill onto Royal 2, stops it important. Double, make it a triple.
I think Staten's the best player in the game right now.
Crispy and connecting. Oh my goodness, Lucid. Big double kill from Encore. Can he get the triple? He does! Triple kill from Encore.
Kansas City on the horizon. John, you're flying out tomorrow, right? And I'm not too far behind you. We're looking forward to another action-packed, what should be a really exciting weekend of Halo esports.
Yeah, we've got some of the best teams in the world flying out. Actually, the best teams in the world, right? If they qualified in their regions, they got a paid trip out here to Kansas City to play in the U.S. A lot of them are playing right now at a boot camp at the Kansas City Royal Stadium, right? I think it's Kauffman Stadium. It's pretty freaking cool to watch them play. They're all set up in the like Diamond Club and then being broadcast on the Jumbotron, and it might even be live on Twitch right now.
Yeah, if we had known, maybe we would have.
I would have flown out early.
Rescheduled this stream a little differently. One of the big things, of course, if you are going to Kansas City, we certainly look forward to meeting you and hope you'll stop by and chat with us. But if you're not to worry. A lot of different ways you can tune in. There'll be Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta stream. Whoa, can we put that back up, Josh? That was a little fast. I'm a little slow. A lot of different opportunities, though. There'll be 4 streams going to catch all the action. Here we go. I want to give a general shout out. Make sure if you're on Twitter, you want to follow at HCS for real-time updates, all the latest and greatest coming out of the event. But right here, you'll see a rundown of the 4 primary official streams you'll be able to tune into. And of course, watching those streams not only delivers great Halo competitive action, but Twitch drops. So we've got a number of these up for grabs this weekend. First one here, this will be a special commemorative, what are we calling this, John? This looks like you watch a grassroots streamer during their Make-A-Wish donation drive, and you will earn this special UI backdrop, the HCS trophy.
Yep.
I don't happen to know offhand when the donation drive streams are happening.
Yeah, so they're happening on site at Kansas City. We're going to have
just
our
all
grassroots,
throughout the day. Okay, cool.
Grassroots streamers. You can find them on their respective channels. They will be streaming, driving money for charity. And if you tune in, you can get this awesome backdrop.
I want to just go to shout out here too. If you go to aka.ms/infinite-live, you'll get more information about these drops. Also, notes down there at the bottom, if you haven't done this already, you need to go to Halo Waypoint. You need to go to Twitch. You need to basically connect your 2 accounts together and make sure you get credit for those Twitch drops. And you can read more about that at aka.ms/dropshelp. So that's our first Twitch drop. We got more to come. Let's see. Up next, we got vehicle coatings and a really cool, I would pronounce that wrong, but a bumper attachment, it looks like, for the Warthog there, right?
Yep. So you can equip some like custom geo to your vehicle there. And the Midnight Gold is one of my favorite vehicle coatings, right? And you get it for all 3. It's awesome.
as the slide says here, just watch the official broadcast for up to 3 hours, and you'll be able to earn these drops. But wait, there's more. Next up, we have.
Yeah. So
what do we call these banners? Yes.
Yeah. So this will be on the backdrop, kind of behind your nameplate
Yep.
when you're loading into a match, and these are for our partnered co-streamers. So we've got a few different, like I'd say, larger influencer type people when they're streaming, co-streaming the event, watching it on their own personal streams. You can earn this on their channel as well.
And I think we have one more Twitch drop. This one will be exclusive only for the grand finals, which of course will be sometime Sunday afternoon. Watch that for 1 hour, and you will net this cool clean sweep weapon charm.
Yeah, the old extermination medal, one of my favorites. And yes, grand finals only on the Halo stream though. So make sure you're tuning in for an hour during grand finals on twitch.tv/Halo.
But again, I encourage everyone to drop a follow to the @HCS account on Twitter. There'll be real-time updates. Of course, @Halo is also a good place to follow. We'll have Andy there from our team. We'll be there making sure that we're keeping the information flowing and doing our best to bring the event to you for those who can't be there in person. So big shout out to our friends on the HCS team, all the teams, all the orgs and competitors. Looking forward to a great weekend. Wishing everyone the best of luck.
Yeah, we've got like 5 teams that can all compete for first place right now. It's pretty cool. I'm excited.
Do you want to put you on the spot and make you do a prediction or no?
I don't know if I could do a good prediction, but I kind of want to root for Kansas City because they're putting on that awesome boot camp. They're in their hometown, Kansas City Pioneers. I'm looking forward to it.
Good call. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to make a prediction because I'll just wait and see. Hey, we're all winners. We'll see some top world-class Halo. We're all going to be winners in that regard.
Yep.
John, before we log off here today, a couple of the things I thought we would just quickly touch on for folks who maybe haven't heard. Lots going on clearly with Halo Infinite, with Season 2 imminent. But in case you missed it, MCC actually has just got a pretty significant update, including the long-awaited release of updates to Firefight that now bring the Flood into the fray.
Yeah, so you can play this with friends. I ended up jumping in the week it launched, and it is terrifying, but it is fun.
And
but it's terrifying.
You can head to HaloWaypoint.com and learn more about the recent MCC update. I think we also had a patch this morning as well for MCC. So, again, want to give a big shout out to all the folks on the MCC team. Still working hard, still bringing content, updates, and features to the title. So big thanks to them for that.
I do want to give one shout out for the custom game browser, which now includes all the games that are in MCC. So you don't. We used to just be a couple games. Now you have all of them that you can just jump in and play tons of fun customs with anyone in the Halo community.
And that's been a labor of love. I know. I think we announced that like 15 years ago. It feels like, but huge shout out to the team and also obviously to the insiders and the community. None of that would have been possible without your sort of consistent help with flighting and feedback and just sort of continually pushing the team to evolve and improve the game. So big win there. Something else I want to give a quick shout out to. Just recently, we had the launch of the Halo Encyclopedia. John, I'll do a quick impromptu unboxing.
Let me know what it looks like.
Yeah, here, I'm going to unbox it live on the air. And boom, there you go. The Halo Encyclopedia. This thing is...
It's big.
It's a dangerous book. It's careful, don't sprain yourself. This is the regular edition. There's also a collector's edition. It's available now on Amazon or your favorite bookstore. So give that a look. It's got so much information, incredible art and information for anyone that's a fan of the Halo franchise. So
a couple pages.
Easy to get lost in there. Big shout out to everybody at the studio and the franchise team who helped work to bring this to life. We mentioned this earlier, John, but I want to give another shout out as well to gear.xbox.com. Of course,
we carry it away. Sorry.
We've talked. Yeah, you can borrow that. We talked about the Tenrai collection, which you can find now. Of course, there's also other more evergreen offerings. I believe as well there will be some HCS merchandise available to coincide with this weekend's event.
Yep, some new HCS merch.
Speaking of, I think on site too, an exclusive event T-shirt I believe will also be offered.
That red one, it's looking good.
Of course, we have more than just the games going on. John, give us a quick update on Halo the series.
Oh. TV show,
no spoilers.
I would love to go into a full detailed conversation, but we have done 5 episodes so far. Episode 6 comes out tonight at midnight. I will be there watching it, waiting. Toss it up on the projector. I'm excited for it. We had lots of good action in episode 5. That is all I'll say. But Yeah, you can join the conversation on the official Halo Discord server as well. We've got a whole section set up there. We also have like a watch party channel where you can watch right as it drops at midnight. I'm just looking forward to more.
Yeah, and also, in case you missed it, big shout out Alex on the community team. Every Monday serves up a recap blog where he sort of dissects and breaks down the prior episodes. So a great place to go as well for fans of the series. And I think, John, we're getting near the end. I wanted to give one last shout out. Let's just talk about, we mentioned this at the outset, Season 2 is going to launch on May 3rd.
Yes.
We do have a graphic just to give you a better sense. We are going to launch this at 11 a.m. Pacific our time. That's currently our normal rollover for the week. We'll get this out on social here in a bit, but this will just give you a sense of where that means where you live. So we're doing a simultaneous launch. One important note, we got the word out yesterday in case you missed it. We are going to have an hour of planned downtime, essentially from 10 a.m. Pacific until the season goes live on 11. Online services will be disabled. So things like matchmaking, I think,
pretty much anything.
Pretty much
online.
anything. Yeah. Anything that requires a services connection will not be functional during that hour.
Yeah. You should be able to play campaign though, so no worries. No worries there.
Yeah, my main note was just for folks that are going after this week's ultimate reward in the game, which includes a really cool visor. Don't cut it too close because we are gonna turn the lights off just a little bit on Tuesday there in preparation for the new season launch. And geez, I think that's pretty much everything, John. Pretty dense, information-filled show. I want to give another big thanks to Joseph and Jerry for stopping by and helping us reveal and talk about some new information. Another plug, please go to halowaypoint.com. We've talked about outcomes blogs today. Definitely worth the read. Be sure to check out Joseph's monthly update as well. And I think that's all I got.
Yeah, we'll have a blog on launch day with tons of the info, kind of summarizing what's in season 2 as well. So if you want to either jump in or read that blog,
yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. We'll let you go. We've had your time for a while. Really appreciate everybody from tuning in. And again, really appreciate everyone's continued support, your passion. We get it. We're all excited. We're all passionate about Halo. Together, we're going to keep doing great things, and we are going to get there. So thanks a lot. We cannot wait to join you online on May 3rd as we kick off Lone Wolves. We'll see you then.
We always have room for another wolf.